I mean, Dorset is a desert.
Yeah.
I mean, it proper is a desert now. At the moment, I'm spending an extra £500 a day to feed these animals.
Mother Nature evens herself out.
Yeah.
Always.
So when is it coming?
Cami, you're rage baiting us on purpose, and I know you are. We will come back. The parenting juggles. Like that juggle now around the summer is...
How cool. It's one bad thing being like, we've got Bluetongue, but the worst thing is you can't actually do anything to protect any other animals at the moment, but I do need to vaccinate.
Yeah.
We're number 200 in the queue. It's all about mindset, isn't it? You have to accept where you are and you look for the solutions rather than just being like... This episode is brought to you by our headline sponsor, Virgin Money. Virgin Money's experience in agriculture goes back generations. They offer tailored financial support, including funding and loans to help you diversify, as well as solutions to manage your everyday farming finances. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Meet the Farmers, the Big Debate. I'm Sophie Gregory.
And I'm Ali Hunter-Blair, and I am very excited because for the first time ever, I can answer the question of where is Sophie this week? Because you're here. You're at Weir End. You've come to the farm.
And what a nice place it is too.
Well, what do you think of my podcast studio?
I think people shouldn't look behind the camera. It's a great effort.
That's very rude. I spent an hour cleaning this place out.
An hour, being the singular.
We've got a normal episode for you. We're not changing anything apart from the fact that we're here together. We are going to be talking about what's happening on our farm, mainly no rain, talking about the drought in a bigger situation. We're going to also be talking about Bluetongue, which is, devastating. And we're going to be talking about that a bit more in depth. We're also going to be looking at the parenting juggle of the school holidays, which I know a lot of you will resonate with. The juggle is very much real when it comes to trying to run a farm in the summer. A big thank you to our headline sponsor, Virgin Money, also our associate partners, which is TELUS Agriculture and Consumer Goods and Birketts. And this week, a very, very big thank you to DLF Seeds, who have sponsored this episode. For context, we are recording this on Wednesday, the 12th of August, and it will be out on Friday, the 14th of August. Make sure you subscribe to the show. You should be subscribed by now. And if you're not, why not? I want to hear personally why you haven't subscribed. But yeah, it's a joy to be doing this in person. And this is hopefully something we'll be able to do a lot more of. So, Soph, first news story. What have we got?
I think the first one, we've got DEFRA opens the farmer welfare grant worth 1.5 million. I don't know how you feel about this. I'm slightly worried that this money is going to end up in the wrong hands.
I was reading up on this because it sounds great, doesn't it? Like, obviously, there's a huge concern around farmer welfare at the moment, and it's tough out there, as we discussed on the last podcast for everybody. I read the briefing. I still don't really understand where this money is going. 1.5 million, is it, that's meant to be targeted? Is it going to get down to the hands of farmers? That's what I'm really trying to work out. Or will it be more organisation? I read the document and went, how do I get to it? I feel like I'm a farmer that needs some welfare. How am I getting to it?
Yeah, I think it's good that they've identified FCN as one of the partners because I think they do some great work. Also, we've spoken about before, but actually find 1.5 million across the farmers in the UK at the moment with what they're up against is actually not a lot of money per person, is it?
No, it's a lovely headline figure, isn't it? And don't get me wrong, like grateful for any support that we can get, particularly at the moment as the challenges that we're going to talk about. But yeah, I don't know whether it touches the size. And also, again, like accessing it. All I found out from reading the briefing was that we have to register for a webinar, which is out on Thursday between like 11 and 1 or something. And then they're going to give you more information. But it does sound like a lot of the money is going to be going to organisations like FCN who do great work.
Yeah, I just hope that they use it in something that can be used long term. So I think, if it's supporting mental health and farming, we've spoken a lot about that. I think that's really important. But actually, let's have some farmers involved in how that's accessed, I think.
And as you said perfectly there, long term is like you can't just give somebody a shot and then be like, we're going to take that away.
Leave that alone.
Yeah. We're giving you the shot. Now, what more do you need? What more do you need? So, and obviously, actually, the first part of the whole document was basically accepting that it's tough. There is some sort of acceptance on the fact that it's pretty rough.
Yeah, which leads us on to our next news story. I mean, Bluetongue, Ali.
Yeah.
Have you heard much about it as an arable farmer?
From an arable perspective, obviously, I haven't heard about it. My big sort of connection to it is the big issue is that we didn't have any cold winters, so the midges, mosquitoes, whatever they are, didn't get wiped out in the winter. We had a very similar problem. Obviously, it's not affecting us as painfully as it does livestock farmers. So with our wheat, our spring barley particularly, we've got BYDV, which is a yellow dwarf virus, which is brought in by aphids on barley, so affected our crop yields massively. But like the Bluetongue thing seems vicious in the southwest where it hasn't had any frosts, and it just seems to be every day there's another story of it getting worse and worse and worse.
Yeah, I think that it's pretty nuclear down in the southwest now. I think because it's so contagious, and this, we're on to our 5th heat wave now, and it doesn't seem like we're going to stop. So I think that we're a lot of livestock farming, lots of stock in the same area. We're already quite stressed by the fact that a lot of us haven't got enough forage for the winter. So that on top of it is pretty challenging, I think. I think they're up to over 300 cases now.
Yeah, what's it? DEFRA said
today,
334.
it's changing the whole time.
334 at the moment. From what I've been listening to, sheep are impacted obviously more than cattle.
Yeah, from my understanding, I don't have any sheep. I don't think I'll ever have any sheep, probably for this reason, is that they are more susceptible and it's causing deaths in sheep. Whereas with cattle, the symptoms aren't as extreme and it can be managed, but it is affecting yield, fertility, with the impact of heat as well. It's the worry too, Ali, I think.
Yeah, like I said, I've seen some videos going around Facebook, social media of some really upsetting videos of farmers just in a horrible mental headspace at this point, and just with picking up sheep left, right, and centre, they're off their feet. With the cows, you can vaccinate. You have vaccinated.
Yeah, so this started in Europe a couple of years ago, and actually last year a lot of people did vaccinate, and you needed to do 2 vaccinations for the first. That's quite common with a vaccine, so you do 2 a month apart, and then you reboost a year later. The problem now is that there's queues for vaccines and they can't import it quick enough. So at our vets at the moment, we're part of quite a large practice. We're number 200 in the queue, so we are due to revaccinate.
So you're 200, as in you're the 200th customer to be able to
not even 200th animal, it's 200th clients, so they could have 1,000 cows, So we put our name on the list.
And that's not nationwide, that's for your vets? That's
for our vets. And they do cover the southwest. It is a big firm, but they are importing it weekly. That number's dropping, but it's one bad thing being like we've got Bluetongue, but the worst thing is you can't actually do anything to protect any other animals at the moment. If you hadn't vaccinated at all, it would be even worse.
Yeah,
because I think my animals probably still got a little bit of it, but I do need to vaccinate.
But there must have been a financial implication to vaccinating.
It's really expensive,
and when you're doing sheep at massive numbers or even small numbers, I suppose
it's not a cheap vaccine. It's obviously with COVID, it's had to be developed pretty quick as well. So the message is vaccinate. Like we said, 334 cases as of today. That won't even include some of the ones that haven't been tested. The vets have said actually.
So there'll be a lag on the figures.
I wouldn't be surprised if it's double that. So,
especially when we're heat wave number 4, number 5 now, aren't we? It's just going to get worse and worse. And from the long range forecast that I've been looking at, there's no rain in the forecast for August at all.
And I think the heat wave and the milder winters, we're seeing different diseases pop up. And that's the scary thing.
Yeah.
We have something called red water on the farm. It's very regional. So our neighbours don't get it. So it's actually it's within ticks. And we need like a cold frost in winter to be able to get rid of it. We haven't had that this year. Our cows are probably immune to it at home. But the new unit that we took on in August last year, that some of those cows have never had it before. So they've never been exposed. Okay. So we've had 3 cases of red water. So that is off the back of weather. Some people will never hear of it, even as a dairy farmer. So, and if you don't get to it within 6 hours, you're probably losing that animal.
This lack of winter that we're getting, so we talked about climate a lot and weather patterns, but this lack of winter, so the armyworm that I had in my sugar beet,
I remember.
Again, so that came up from Africa effectively, it came into Central Europe, then there was a load of strong easterlies on one of the heat waves, so the moths have been blown over, and because there's no frost in Europe and there was no frost here, they didn't get killed off again, and we had the same with the aphids in the barley, we're obviously having the same with the midges in these
Bluetongue.
This lack of cold weather, this lack of winter effectively, where we just have wet, warm, I think we had 2, maybe 3 days where it got below -4, but I mean, don't get me wrong, I don't want -15 every day, but you want December and January to be crisp and cold, and like all the Christmas songs say, it's crisp and pleasant, and they're not, they're just wet and warm, and that's only going to get, in theory, it's only going to get worse, isn't it? We've struggled in the last 2 episodes actually to be positive. I think it's really, it's just it's just hard, isn't it? Like all of the unforeseen costs, and I don't know, we've finished harvest and bits and bobs, and you look at a half empty grain store again for another year, and you go, and then my sugar beet was going to be my saving grace. It's a desert crop. It likes dry. It loves our sand. And then suddenly that gets absolutely hammered by armyworm that my dad's never heard of, and he's been growing sugar beet for 50 years. My agronomist has never had to spray for, and you're like, oh, okay, that was going to be the thing that was actually going to get out of jail card. And then you're watching these plants just be destroyed. And then, so I've had to go out and use an insecticide, which we're not insecticide free, but we're aiming to move towards that. And we've moved massively away. And so the only insecticides I can use now are on my sugar beet, and just sugar beet. Actually, that's the only field I can use it on. And normally we're using that for aphids so that we don't get yellow viruses in there. But I'm having to use 2 doses of caterpillar killer. And I'm going out at night to avoid bees and everything else. So I'm doing everything I can, but I hate it. But like I went and looked at the beet on Saturday because there was a dry patch looking terrible. And that's normally, it's really close to the rocks. I was like, that's just the drought. Found all these caterpillars. Between Saturday and when I could spray on Monday, I reckon we lost another 30% of the leaf area. The speed of them was just terrifying. And you're just like, just didn't need this right at the moment. And we were also combining early, and so I had to go out spraying late. And it's all like, you can do it.
Dairy farmer hours,
but without dairy farmer profits. So.
Well, yeah, I know. It's bad, isn't it? But I hear a positive thing off the back of finishing harvest early. You went on holiday, didn't you, Ali?
I went on holiday, went to Cornwall, and it was glorious. So we had 4 days in Cornwall. Cornwall looks just as dry as here.
Yeah. My dad's down there.
The other thing is how farmers do any farming in Cornwall in the summer. We got stuck behind tractors and not stuck behind tractors.
Veg, isn't it, down
but
there?
Loads of veg coming in and out, and tractors and trailers just meeting cars on narrow lanes that obviously can't. I think I'd lose my rag.
Yeah,
I would.
It's a whole nother country. I
tell you what, if you are the veg farmer in Cornwall, I admire your patience, because how you do that. We've got a dual carriageway, and that gets really busy over the summer. But at least they're travelling at 70, which is a bit tricky. But at least they're moving. And there's 2 lanes. Whereas actually, this is just hell. So if you are farming down in Cornwall, I appreciate you, because that's stressful. Our big debate today is basically we're going to give you an update on our farms. We're going to try and make it jolly. We may struggle to make it jolly, but we are going to try and make it jolly.
We're going to make it real.
We'll make it real, absolutely.
Real is the right word, probably.
How is Dorset?
I mean, Dorset is a desert.
Yeah.
I mean, it proper is a desert now. I think we just accepted it now. You know, when you go through, it's kind of like grief, isn't it? You go through these like ups and downs, and you're like hopeful, and then you look in the rain gauge and no. And then I've actually not looking at the weather now. I've accepted that probably it won't rain in August, and then we'll deal with it. I'm grateful, massively grateful for the fact that we have adjusted our calving pattern. So I haven't got I've got 200, it might sound a lot, but for us, it's not 250 in milk rather than 300, 400 cows, because some of mine are on holiday ready to calve. But if we get to September with no rain, I will not be so happy. But for us, I'm feeding cows. I'm spending 500 quid a day on silage, which...
And so normally this time of year, you wouldn't be spending anything on feed at all. No. You'd be supplementing them at all in August, or
only in the parlour, which is normal. It would be like literally 10% of their feed would be coming out of 10 to 20%, depending on what forage we had in terms of grass in front of them. At the moment, I'm spending an extra £500 a day to feed these animals, and that includes actually having someone there that can use the kit to feed them.
Right.
Because my main team, they're real stock.
Wendy's out.
Yeah, Wendy is still a but probably have to.
that's gonna be Dan's first beep of the episode, so that's good.
Wendy is still, I'll call her a witch. She's working fine, but the girls who work for me they're stock people. They love the cows. They love working with the cows.
People.
They're not machinery people, and I think we are all trying to have a go. You know, we're all learning. That's fine, but actually, I don't normally have the anxiety of how I'm going to feed my cows in this time of year, because actually I'm just opening a gate, I'm moving a fence, and we can all do that. So actually, you know, Jake's fantastic, our apprentice. He's great. He loves doing the tractor stuff, but it just relies on his days off, us being like, we need to feed the cows, and it needs to be done at a timely manner, not take us all day, because we've still got cows calving now. So, you know, 500 quid a day, and I've also lost milk.
Can you supplement, excuse my ignorance, can you supplement the food enough that you so obviously you're doing it for cattle welfare, but also for yield.
Yeah.
Can you supplement enough food that you would have your normal yield or not? Do the cows just completely change?
I think it's our breeding. Yeah. We've bred a cow that likes to eat grass and turn it into milk. Yeah, but also I think the heat is having more of an impact than we realise, because at the moment what we're doing is still rotating them in the day. We're milking them, leaving them on the yard to eat as much silage.
Do you keep them in at all or not?
Yeah, well, until 9 o'clock. They can eat as much silage, so we're putting 5 ton in front of them there. And they can have that between day and night milking, and then we're turning them out into a different paddock each day with a bit of silage on the ground, so that's another bit of silage. And then at night we sacrifice basically 4 fields, and they're in rotation, because in the night it's cool. I say cooler, the sun is not blasting down. The day fields are really important, that we're keeping them in the shade.
Are you better off or worse off, not financially, but are you better off or worse off than you were last year? Because harvest last year I knew was going to be a disaster because it just never rained. Whereas this year, actually, everything until the end of May looked mega.
Really good.
So you had a good first cut of silage, which seemed to go on for about 14 days.
We've got enough. So we're in a lucky position that we've got enough land. I mean, I was having this discussion with our landlord the other day. I reckon we need a third more land than when we started 12 years ago to produce the same amount of milk. And it's actually quite crazy.
A third
more land, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Just because of the climate.
That's insane.
I think some of that's being organic and not having, we're talking grade 3, we're not talking boys ground. We're talking like what we can get hold of. But we couldn't really do it at the scale we're at without the arable now, without the grass as part of the rotation and the access to whole cropping it. So you're right, definitely. We haven't whole cropped the arable this year, so we're going to have some grain off it.
Yeah.
Last year we whole cropped the whole lot because it was dry from literally the beginning. But this year the difference is those heat waves.
Yeah, just brutal.
It's the heat stress on the cows. Last year we didn't really have that.
No.
And fertility was still quite good. We haven't PD'd yet from the spring. I'm not saying I'm concerned because I can't do anything about it.
No.
But
you can still be concerned about it, can't you?
I'm expecting not great results.
Okay.
Tough to keep them in calf. I think
So in that situation, will you then rotate them if they were meant to be spring calving? You'll rotate them into.
They get one more chance into the autumn,
and then they.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
But it's sort of days in milk and things. I don't really want to swing them to the next block if I don't have to, because then their curve goes, it goes up, along, down.
Yeah.
It will be going down.
Yeah, so you need to get them into calf.
Exactly. There's a sort of level of it. Yeah.
Okay. I almost like the fact that you can do something about it. So when I look at our harvest again, which started well with the oilseed rape and then just fell off a cliff.
Yeah.
I can't do anything about it now for another year.
Next year.
So I've got 12 months until I can do something better or try to. I hate the idea that I'm trying to look after livestock in this because it's brutal. And I think the fact that you've accepted the fact that you're just not going to get any rain is you have to accept that. Yeah. But the brutal reality of basically having to do wintertime jobs in the summertime, like the extra strain on everybody. To
fuel
do that.
used, the fuel is up, isn't it, as well again this week? So it's all of that, but I think you have to. It's all about mindset, isn't it? You have to accept where you are, and you look for the solutions rather than just being like continuous.
Meet the Farmers, the Big Debate is supported by TELUS Agriculture and Consumer Goods, the team that has brought together Farm Plan and Gatekeeper. Their ongoing investment equips farmers with the tools they need today and those they will need to face tomorrow's farming challenges. We're using their farm management software on our farm for spray plans, stock control, and much, much more, designed to give you complete control of your data and simplify your day-to-day operations. Whether you are tracking your inputs, managing costs, or planning ahead, TELUS makes your business more efficient and informed. Find out more at telus.com/big debate. Once again, that's telus.com/big debate.
This episode is supported by DLF Seeds. DLF is a global leader in seed breeding and production, supplying merchants across the UK and helping farmers get the very best from their grass, forage and cover crop choices. But what really sets DLF apart is their focus on how mixtures perform on farm, not just on paper. Their breeding programs and trial networks are built around real farming conditions, developing mixtures that deliver where it matters. That means better resilience, strong productivity, and reliable grazing or cutting performance, all designed to fit into practical farm systems. And it's not just theory, it's something I've seen firsthand through DLF partner farm trials. I've been able to test mixtures on my own farm, see how they perform, and feed that experience back into how those products are developed. For me, it's about being confident in our choices for the land and our business. What's keeping your business going now, Ali? Is it the...
So this is actually David Wheatley. He's the Petit Peonies on Instagram. He did a really lovely reel the other day of he was stood in his wheat crop, and his wheat crop
does he grow peonies as well?
Yeah, he grows loads of peonies. Got a huge following. He just speaks honestly, and I love his socials because he is literally just there with his camera and just being, and he's also not afraid to put figures in. So he will tell you that
it's not that common, is it?
No, he stood in his wheat barn and he said, this crop is worth £60,000. I'm going to lose 10 at the current price is £200 a ton. He's like, I'm going to lose 10 grand on this crop. And then he immediately answers the obvious question which is, well, don't bother growing. And he said, well, because there is a cost to not growing. So you have to still maintain and do everything else. So he said, if I didn't grow the crop, I would be losing £20,000. So you're in this weird, horrible annual cycle where you're like, I have to keep going because for us, like the arable farming, like we look at our accounts, they ain't pretty, but they're profitable. But they're profitable. So, and they keep us alive, right? So it's not a case of like, if we just won't grow anything, and as he was saying, we have to pay rent. So we can't just sit there and be like, we'll just wait for a bit. Like, what keeps us going? I don't know. The idea of it's going to be
diversification.
Diversification is massive, absolutely. And but I've always said, and I still believe it, that we diversify because we wanted to, and because we wanted. We really love that. Annie's question is great, and the glamping has just taken off, which is fantastic, and we're in a lovely part of the world. It's wonderful, but I very much want them to be separate businesses. We
not supporting each other.
Exactly. Yeah. So the farm is the farm. The glamping pays a rent to the farm. The equestrian pays a rent to the farm.
Oh, okay.
And we shouldn't be supplementing one another. They want to be freestanding businesses.
Yeah.
The reality is this year and last year that probably the glamping has kept us, and also like the stark reality of the turnover of the farm versus the turnover of the glamping is 10 times. So it's and there are some costs that get absorbed in. So they are
quite hard to split.
Yeah, they're symbiotic. They're symbiotic, but we have separate accounts for each of them, so that we know how well or badly we're doing.
And there's different parties involved, isn't there?
Yeah, absolutely. Different partnerships, and like Annie's question is a sole trader. The glamping is a partnership between Annie and I. The farm is between all four of us, mum and dad as well. And if you start delving too deep into it, it is very hard to individualize everything because
I suppose you all want different things out of them. You don't. It's not just financials.
Absolutely. And the glamping is amazing. Like it's single-handedly the best thing we've done in terms of diversification, because from an arable farmer's point of view, I set the price. If people want to pay the price, they'll come and stay.
If not,
97% of them will enjoy themselves. 3% will probably hate it.
But they would have complained.
They would complain anyway. So 97% people enjoy themselves. I know that I'm making a profit from every time somebody stays. I also know what it costs. I know what it costs me to be empty. So if people don't book it, it actually only costs me 50 quid. So that doesn't matter. Whereas the arable farming perspective, where I planted that wheat last year, it looked incredible up till May. And I was like, you know what? This is going to be an awesome year.
Yeah.
I just need a little bit of rain. We actually got a bit of rain in June, but that May heat wave, followed by the next heat wave, followed by the next heat wave. And so we were combining wheat that the straw is good. So we've got a lot more straw this year.
You're going to sell the straw? What do you do with the straw?
So straw gets sold, So we've got quite a bit of barley straw. Yeah. And that was the weird thing about this year, as we were going through with the combine. You're combining a field, whereas last year everything looked thin and you knew it was going to be terrible. There was no straw coming out the back. You're going through a field of wheat that looks into the combine fantastic, and you're looking at the yield monitor going, well, and then the swath of straw behind, and you're there going. So much so that like Pete would be combining, I would get out alongside the combine. Pete's our neighbour, so we share our combine with our neighbours, machinery and neighbour sharing. I'd get out and walk alongside the combine to see if we'd left a flap off or left something, or it's leaking wheat somewhere. Because you're like this,
like you do a diesel.
You're literally sat there going, "This isn't right." And then so you're walking alongside the combine going,
"Where's it gone?
Can't see." Yeah, so that was the distressing thing, and like some of the wheat that. So I reckon probably 30% of the heads were empty, and whether that was aphid or whether that's heat. And I think what had happened is because we'd had such a good growing season, they put a lot of tillers up, and we'd had a good growing season up until the end of May. So they created the heads, and then they just didn't have the water to fill them.
It's a bit like our grass; it just kept wanting to go
to head.
Head, yeah. Literally at any opportunity, straight to head.
Well, you'll see around here, like their next door's second cut silage. They cut very quickly. They basically made standing hay in the end, in the hope that we get
a lot
some
of hay. There's actually been quite a lot of people making hay.
Yeah, and then the grass has been that was 7 weeks ago. They cut that. And if you went out there today, you'd think they cut it yesterday. Like it's just a desert.
What are you going to do differently next year, or are you going to? Because we have this conversation like 2 years is about we can ride 2 years of bad, but into a third.
I had this conversation with Dad the other day. I was like, when was the last good year we had? from an arable perspective. And actually, it was the Russian war year. And that was purely because we bought our fertilizer early. So we lucked out and the wheat price went through the roof and we had quite a bit of wheat sat in the shed. So that was not a good year because it was a good year. The yields were quite good on 21.
It was a lucky year.
It was a lucky year. So we just happened to...
it's strategic.
Yeah, I'd love to... Oh, yeah, absolutely strategic. Absolute strategy. But that was the last good year. So actually, I only have to go back 4 years, but that means I've then had 3 years in a row now where I've gone, this isn't brilliant. But I suppose on the plus side is that wheat prices are flying at the moment. Oilseed rape prices
I'm
are
not enjoying that.
So no, you're not enjoying that. But you've had cheap feed for ages. So, the organic market, because particularly they can front it. The conventional guys might not be quite so excited. But yeah, so we are looking at 3 years of very average. This year, the wheat did 7.6 tonne a hectare, which is below average, but way better than last year. Tonne a hectare better than last year. The barley's have done 4. My spring barley that I planted on the 2nd of January out-yielded the rest of the barley by 2 tonne a hectare.
Do you do that again?
So basically, if I can plant it in December, January, I'm planting it.
That's crazy to think you can actually do that at that time of year.
Yeah, and that's I remember when I did it, I put something on Twitter that I was out on the 2nd of January drilling into a cover crop.
What's Twitter?
Yeah, X. So millennial about this sort of thing.
Yeah.
And you could see, so that it was a really interesting on X. I've got quite a wide-ranging group of farming followers, because I used to use it for farmer engagement because it was great for learning.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a
I haven't been on it for years.
Don't come back. No. So you've got the eastern lot, so the East Anglia, Suffolk, they're like, mate, we plant spring barley in November, December, every year. Like, what are you doing? You've got the northern lot that are like, what? You can drive a tractor on a field? Are you, what?
Yeah.
We can't even get a quad on a field. And then you've got the western lot that are like, seems a bit rogue. Why haven't you got sheep on that field? Like, get some. Anyway, planted it, and it was the first thing we combined, and it did 6.6 tonne a hectare, which is about our average spring barley yield. And I was like, oh, that's okay. And then we went into our normal spring barley, which did about 4 to 5 tonne a hectare. And I was like, oh, okay. So it was better. So basically I've learned that if I can get it in good conditions, it's worth doing.
Yeah.
And these dry springs on sandy soils are a complete nightmare. But it's interesting, like what we now, nearly 3/4 of England is now reported into drought. Yesterday they added a few more areas that I'm pretty sure they already thought they were in drought, but the government has now declared them in drought. So yeah, it's something that 10 years ago we were looking at going, we were told that climate change weather patterns were going to be more extreme. And I must admit that even though I believe that is correct, I didn't think it was going to happen quite so quickly.
What are you going to do differently then, Ali? You're going to...
More winter cropping, I think.
More winter cropping.
Livestock integration would be interesting.
Maybe.
I tell you what I'm terrified of at the moment, actually, if we look at it short term, is that Mother Nature evens herself out.
Yeah.
Always.
So when is it coming?
And I saw Dave Throop, he's ex-Environment Agency, quite big on Twitter. He has he has some that there is a long-range forecast now that sort of September, October is going to be brutal. So now, worst case scenario for us actually is that we have this dry. So I can't put anything in the ground at the moment because there's no point.
Would you be normally?
Especially with an early harvest, cover crops, and we'd be looking at rape in sort of 2 weeks' time.
What sort of cover crops going?
So cover crops are trying to grow a vetch because I like the legume side. Vetch, a radish.
Is that
so that's
quite
got like
deep?
A nice fibrous root. The radish will bury itself down a bit
and aerate
have an oat a bit. Yeah, so try and move, and we don't tend to graze them. We'll tend to drill straight into them so that they mulch back in as they grow.
And that will help with water retention when.
So the idea is that basically we're on sand. We grew for 30 years, 40 years of potatoes, so our organic matters are through the floor. By growing a cover crop, in theory, actually grazing it would recycle it better for nutrients. But actually, we're just trying to. Well, I am keen, but a lot of our cover cropping goes on the riverland, which spends most of its life underwater.
So cows not.
So cows ain't going to work.
No.
Sheep would work, but you'd have to have somebody that would be very
wants to do them,
and also to move them pretty quick when a flood came.
That's the thing with sheep sometimes, is getting them off when you want to get them off.
And also when it's your own sheep, you can move them because you get the flood warning. If you're relying on somebody else.
Not always possible, is it?
And the guys that come, they've
built relationships, really.
So, so we'll cover crop. And then hopefully the idea is that if we do more cover cropping, we can drill more of our spring crops in early.
Okay.
So I reckon the only reason we could drill in January was because we were drilling into a cover crop. So that kept the drill running clean. And that meant the seeds weren't in behind. I was just a bit close to getting the Roundup on to kill the cover crop off. That's our big issue, is that we've got to kill the cover crop off. Otherwise, you'll end up with lots of seeds of different
things.
So,
and the river Wye's very close by to here.
Yeah, literally you could throw a cricket ball from here into the river.
Interesting.
You'd probably hit a car on the dual carriage on the way first. But
I was listening to Farming Today this morning, and they're saying that the river temperature is up to 27 degrees.
Yeah, so fishing's all banned. We go down. We take the kids down to the river. You can walk across the river. It's knee deep.
Really? And what would it normally be up here?
Normally drought, you probably waist deep.
Yeah.
But and obviously it keeps running through.
Yeah.
But obviously they control a lot of water up in Wales, so they can let water out of the eland dams and bits. And this is where I think
Food
your
production.
question about like for the future, and as we've talked about in the past, like this water. So for us, and actually all the big farms around here that are growing potatoes and veg and stuff, they are building reservoirs if they can get planning. They are building reservoirs everywhere. Because they're for them, water is particularly for potatoes, for fruit, for soft fruit, for top fruit. Water is so important to them that they need to have it. So winter abstraction when we've got too much and being able to store it. So then they can carry on irrigating when we're banned. So we're banned from irrigating at the moment if we were irrigating because the river's too low.
Interesting.
So if they get charged to abstract water in the autumn.
Is this all controlled by EA?
All controlled by the EA, yeah. And they are hot on it at the moment because obviously there's a lot of potatoes in the ground.
They've got a real powerful hand at the moment with the drought, haven't they?
Yeah. So they also control the water. Well, National Resources Wales controls the water coming out of the dams. Okay. So they could let a bit more out of the dams, but they don't want to let too much out because they're concerned that if we don't get rain, then water availability for humans. And that's where we've talked about it in the past. This water is our number one resource for life.
Yeah.
So to be able to keep crops growing for food, but also have enough clean water for the cities where everybody lives, the EA get probably quite a lot of criticism from us and from farmers in general. But I wouldn't want to be sat there trying to manage it.
No.
How do you decide who's comes first, right? Are you going to worry about farmer's crop, which will have a knock-on effect to food prices, or are you going to worry about not having enough water to go into the centre of Manchester to keep however many million people that live in Manchester? So going forward, this winter abstraction, so building reservoirs is
and it's really
massive.
costly, isn't it?
Very expensive, but not as expensive as not having enough water for potato crops. And obviously irrigation is currently banned from the river. So yeah, to be able to store more water. What I can't understand, and I don't know, is that next year we could get the wettest summer. Like we're due a wet summer, and it was only 2021 where I dried every grain we harvested. So we've had 2 hot, dry summers on the bounce, and the climate is changing. But are we going to get?
Do you want to put your eggs in that basket? They can have another one.
Yeah. So
Tricky,
what can you do with the dairy side?
Well, we used to be just one block when we first started, 300 cows in a spring block. And then we ended up swinging some because we had, when we first started, very bad fertility in the first year, didn't vaccinate, should have vaccinated, long story. But we then were going to sell them, but we obviously kept them. So we ended up with 2 block calving, 2 6-week blocks. But last year we made a decision to put an extra 50 cows in the autumn from the spring, because otherwise I'd be milking 300 and trying to keep them. They're not at peak production, but they are on their top bit of their production. Yeah. Because we go up,
so you
along,
sort of have
and down.
2 curves that sort of cross throughout the year, effectively.
We're a split block is actually quite a milk buyer's dream. In terms of trying to keep level.
Yeah, from an annual production, so it keeps you.
It's
like
not ideal for if we wanted to fully switch off the farm. Obviously, we can't ever do that. It's always a cow and milk. But my team seem to like it. They quite like the consistency of the work, and keeping the small blocks works for us in terms of we're really busy for 6 weeks, and then we have a bit of a break before breeding, and then we're breeding, and it sort of flows. It means I can staff the farm how I do, probably slightly, it's 1 per 100 cows. I've got 2 part-time that make 1 person, and then 3 of us full-time. But for us, we've we don't want to push too many to the autumn. Like you're saying, suddenly if it's wet, I can't calve outside. Then I'm like, oh God, I've got to house 150 cows calving. Well, I don't really have the infrastructure as such for that, or the cost involved in that. So I rely on calving them outside because it's cheaper for me in terms of having that standing hay crop and being able to move a fence rather than having to bring a forager, bring a wagon, another Wendy around to feed them as well. I'm getting away with it.
So for you then, actually, that split block keeps consistency of work, which means you can employ. You haven't really got a lull, I suppose.
No,
so
exactly.
you can keep the numbers. Yeah. Like I suppose from if I my arable farmer hat on is obviously I need help from March through till October. Yeah. And then from October through till March, I can manage.
Then you can manage.
So the reality is that I manage because
it's not worth
and
it.
obviously this partnership we have with our neighbours is mega in helping that as well because there's staff there. We share the machinery. We're a bit like, I suppose you would say, you're almost overstaffed. We're over combined. Yeah. Because the combine could probably do another 600-700 acres on top of what we're doing. So it's great because we can go out, we can pick and choose. Like normally we'd go out at
You're not on a list,
2.
are you?
No, exactly.
Like
so we can do it.
Yeah,
exactly. We can do it ourselves. So that's great. But also the combine is big enough that if we want to start at 2 in the afternoon because it's a bit wet in the morning, not a problem we had this year, a bit wet in the morning, we can still knock off as many acres as we could 10 years ago by sort of 8 o'clock in the evening.
You're not going through the night.
We're not going through, we're not having to do a 12-hour combining day to knock off 25 acres. We can do that in 4 or 5 hours. So that only works because we have this partnership. But that consistency of work is something that when I'm always thinking, when I'm stressed in March and I need to be spraying, fertilizing, planting, all of the same things, and there's only me. Yeah. And Pete's got the sprinter, so I can go spraying. And then you're like, I could do with somebody now because I've got a spare tractor. There's 2 tractors.
Yes,
there's
one
driver.
sat in the yard.
So you're like, I've got a tractor. I've got the kit. I could do with somebody. And then I get to middle of November where it's maintenance, loading corn out, and a lot of admin stuff. Yeah, it's a part-time job. Absolutely. It's skiing, isn't it? Skiing and shooting by that point. Then what am I going to do? Because there's nothing worse, and I'm sure you'll attest to that. There's nothing worse than a bored employee. Like that's where that's where you get problems.
We had a list of jobs. Yesterday was a quieter day, and I do make sure they do get before we start carving. I want them to sort of slow down a bit and have a bit, take your holiday, etc. But yesterday they were like, because we've started kind of carving, we've had like 10. They were like, oh, what? They're in carving mode. And they're like, what can we do? So today, like, I've done my jobs this morning, left at just gone 7, and they've got a list of jobs that they can work through. Whereas I think if they're bored, they're just like, because I don't want them to start because we're in carving mode now, we'll just keep going.
When this weather breaks, so Dad, obviously, 1976 has been brought up a lot. 76.
I feel like 2026 is now the new 1976.
But August bank holiday. But so the 76, the difference was that 1975 winter was very dry.
Yeah.
Whereas actually 2025's winter into 2026 was wet as hell. Like we were whinging about mud in our podcast in January and February. Like it was.
Yeah.
I planted that field of barley on the 2nd of January and it didn't stop raining until the 21st of March. Like it was wet. So if now the weather breaks like it did, as Dad tells me, on August bank holiday in 1976, and we had 17 inches of rain between then and the end of October, they were flicking potatoes out with a spinner and getting the next door farmers' apple pickers to put them into boxes where they then rotted in the store because they were too wet.
Yeah.
If it rained endlessly from now through till winter,
we're never going to be happy, are we?
No, but is that worse? That's what I want to know. Is that worse? Like, for me, that's worse now.
Yeah, we've accepted it. I don't know. I feel like we've still got time to get some silage, but could you get it off? I do still need a bit more feed, and a lot of people will be needing a lot more feed.
Oh, I think we're. As I said in the past,
deliveries down.
I think we're sleeping. What was it? 1.8 million litres a day in July down on milk.
Yeah. So if you talk about that in a long period of time, that.
But then the part of me that then goes, prices must go up, right? Like,
they haven't really started.
Shrinkflation is something I've seen mentioned a couple of times. That tends to be on veg at the moment. Usually it's on Freddo bars because your Freddos used to be 10p and now they're like 90p and they're about this big. But maybe my hands got bigger since I was a kid. So shrinkflation has been talked about in the confectionery industry for ages, but it's been picked up, I think, by the Telegraph that your cucumbers are going to be smaller because there's not enough water. And they're going to cost more.
BBC as well.
So is that, in theory, like the conventional milk price has been pretty static and obviously dropped like a stone over winter and has been pretty static.
It's up. It's on its way up.
It's on its way up.
I say on its way up. I will not want to predict that, but it has been. Yeah, I mean, you heard it.
Gregory says the milk price is on its way up, guys.
To be very clear, we have had some price movements, and most processors, Arla's moved. The cheese processors are moving a bit. Some of that will be around the fear of having enough milk. Some of that will be around making some profit on different brands. Depends where you sell your milk into in terms of whether it's a branded business or it's going on the global economy, global market even. Yeah. New Zealand, they start at a really high price with the season. There normally is a prediction for the market for that season, and they're into it now, but they were just getting going last time. We had a look at it, and that's actually dropped now because they think that there's, it was pretty high and everyone was like, oh, where did that come from? But it's dropped a little bit. So it's really hard because we think, America's still pumping out the milk. Really pumping out the milk, and they're often very affected by oil price. Yeah. So to me, because it's a very oil-based system, fuel is very oil-based. They have a very set system over there. I think we are on the way up. We've had a couple of milk price increases now, and we've we've got conventional and
I was going to say, organic has been static, or has
pretty
that started to
static,
go up
and we
as well?
didn't have that up and down that they've had, but we did.
You managed to avoid the drop in the spring.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
stayed static, basically?
Yeah, what we have is seasonality.
Right,
So we
okay.
have that every year.
Yeah.
So that's just to manage the amount of milk coming in.
Sure. Okay.
And I think that has been harder this year because the difference between conventional and organic price is quite a lot.
Yeah.
So that means that the cost in downgrading milk has been higher.
Right.
Because you're obviously only getting the conventional price for it. So that, that will have knocked on the effect.
And I think that you've mentioned it before in the past, is the variability within our small countries. So Tom Pemberton, he has got grass coming out of his eyeballs. He keeps rage baiting me, frankly, on Instagram. Cammy as well. Cammy is walking around in knee-high grass with lambs that look incredible. He had a coat on because he said it was like a winter's day. Cammy, you are rage baiting us on purpose, and I know you are. We will come back.
Yeah.
But that variability is phenomenal. Like, we are down here I think probably anywhere south of Manchester.
I mean, Cheshire's pretty bad as
it's
well.
pretty bad. Is desert. And then you've got the guys up north who are like, for livestock, this is great.
Yeah.
Like, the guys in Lincolnshire's, like, particularly, there's obviously everyone. There's always the Farmers Weekly. There's always the Farmers Weekly hero that has yielded 27,000 tons an acre of wheat, and you're like, and he's only used one fungicide and half a kilo of nitrogen. You're like, well done you, brilliant. But everyone else has struggled, and they're reporting that this will be one of the worst harvests for a very, very long time.
What do you think is the future then? Do you think, I mean, for me, it's like flexibility. So I was so set in my system, and I've flexed a bit with the weather, and I can do that in my system. For you, what is
my feeling is that spring cropping is now spring cropping, if I can get them in December, January, do it. Obviously I've got river ground, which is I can't, because that will be underwater. So my theory is to shift more towards winter cropping. We've always been 50-50 spring winter. A lot of that has to do with rotation and the river, but also like black grass, we haven't got any of that because we can rotate 50-50. So going to an all winter cropping plan brings its own risks.
Yeah.
And then if we are going to grow spring cropping, I think we need to be looking at stuff that is high value and we have got irrigation. We don't use it currently. That is a massive asset that we are not utilising. So whether that be growing vegetables, flowers, beetroot, potatoes.
Does that involve you going to look somewhere else doing it? Because that's what I always think,
Yeah, and obviously we're surrounded by some very diverse and very big businesses who are all doing slightly different things, but everyone struggled this year. And they're actually talking to a really big farmer that's over the river. He was saying it's the loss of potential from the end of May through to harvest has been terrifying. Whereas last year, actually, everything was dry the whole way along. So irrigation is something we need to look at a lot. I still think that farming will be our number one source of income and hopefully profitable, but diversification is something we need to revisit. And we've put the glamping in and we've sat a little bit. But yeah, to increase that offering and to increase other offerings. So for me, I guess my variation will be within the crops that we grow, but also the other bits that we offer. For me, diversification is a key part of our business going forward.
So that leads us on to our and finally piece,
the parenting juggle. So Sophie's come to Weir End. We are doing these next couple of podcasts in person because it's nicer.
And also we thought you were going to be harvesting.
I thought I was going to be busy on a combine. You brought Cecily with you.
Yeah.
Your youngest. I've got 3 children. Annie is teaching at Pony Club Camp at the moment, so she's away. 3 kids here. Fortunately, my sister is over in Kenya with her 2 who are the same age as mine. So all of our children, I can hear them, are outside playing in the garden.
They are being looked after.
They are being looked after. We haven't just ditched them, just if anyone's watching that would care about that.
Yeah.
But like that juggle now around the summer is hardcore, and there'll be a lot of people that resonate with that. The juggle of running your own businesses or businesses or employment or whatever it is, and having everyone off school. Like this will be our first summer. The twins start school this year, so this will be our first full year of school holidays where you're like, oh, we actually got quite a lot to do in this time. And both Annie and I and our diversifications all peak
get really busy
summer.
at the same time.
All peak that summer.
It's pretty crazy, isn't it? I know mine are quite split, their ages. So I've got one learning to drive. He wants to be in the car as much as possible. He's passed his theory test now and he's learning to drive. And then I've got one 14-year-old who, not really bothered by the farm. The 17-year-old is super helpful on the farm. So they do become really helpful. And then I've got my shadow who's 8 who wants to be everywhere I am. But it's just that whole sort of, you are at a slower pace, and then that impacts, on probably you can't get as much done.
Yeah. I was chatting to a dad the other. So there was this amazing thing that happened over the weekend called the Shear Ride. So two dads.
I saw that. What's
so Dad Sam Thornley and Jamie Bevan. So they are both parents, and both of their children had to go into Birmingham Children's Hospital for different reasons. They did this shear ride. So Sam rode for 24 hours on a bike, which was linked up to a dynamo that was powering the shearing machine for Jamie to shear. So they did 24 hours. They did 2-hour stints, 45 minutes off. I got roped in. I wasn't supposed to be biking. I took the kids up there to support it, and then got the ominous from Shandy, if you're listening, tap on the shoulder. Alice, you came for 20 minutes. Anyway, I did 20 minutes on the bike, and I'm not the fittest man in the world, but I'm not that unfit. I was absolutely knackered. Sam was already 8 hours in, but they've done it. So they're raising money for Birmingham Children's Hospital and Ronald McDonald charity. I don't know how much they've raised at the moment, but they sheared 1,550 Jamie sheared 1,553 sheep in 24 hours.
In the heat as well.
In the heat. And Sam cycled 222 miles. And we've discussed this a lot on the podcast. The ability of this industry to
pull
come
together,
out and support. That when I got up there at about 5 o'clock on the Saturday, there must have been 200 people there. Then there was an auction and a bar, especially if you put a bar on for farmers.
It's going to be a success.
But the support, and even at 3 o'clock in the morning, there were people there cheering. The support of this industry is phenomenal. Sam said, he was like, I always reckon with the kids, he's like, I reckon an hour in the morning before they're awake is worth 2 hours in the afternoon. In terms of work-life balance.
I would 100% agree. And that's what I'm trying to, when I got really sort of all about the farm and the dryness and things, I spoke to to a friend, and him and his wife rang and said, what are you doing about this? They're dairy farmers up north of Dorset, and they said, actually what we're doing is just getting the jobs done, and then the middle of the day getting off the farm and then coming back, because they know they can't do anything. But I mean, there's lots to do out in the countryside. For those who aren't farmers that are listening, there's loads of things you can get out and do. We talk about amazing sunflower fields. Have you got any locally?
No, we've got one just down the road. At the Priory, they've opened theirs. But there's loads of farm parks and bits.
Coppet Hill down the road from us is fantastic. If you're local southwest, go and check it out. All this agritourism. It's in the DEFRA survey. There was a crazy stat. I think it was 72% of farm businesses in England had some sort of diversification in the survey in 2024, 2025. So that's quite a lot, isn't it? So this whole agritourism piece is quite big. We
often do, when we're talking about diversification, we're like, well, we shouldn't have to diversify. Food production is a thing. But the opportunity that we have to diversify because we have the space is phenomenal.
And also people are wanting to get out on the farm, aren't they? And we've only seen from Jeremy Clarkson, and have you seen this week they've launched a new thing, Only Farmers. Have you heard about it?
Are we allowed to talk about that? Is that Only Farmers?
Only Farmers, not
what
Only
I'm
Fans.
thinking.
No,
okay,
Ali, no.
Sorry. I wouldn't know anything about either of those things, but Only Farmers is...
Only Farmers, it's a new initiative. Jeremy Clarkson and Lisa, his partner, have launched Only Farmers. So the idea around it is to create a hub of different activities you can do on farm. So as a farm, you can sign up and say, you can come and see calves being reared. You can come and feed a sheep, a lamb. You can come and get out and get involved in the brewery, or you can come and walk a llama, one of them was. There's some crazy things on there.
There's a place in Wales here that does alpaca walking.
Are you joking?
No. And I can't remember how much they charge, but they are fully booked, and they've been doing it for years. I think it's got 30 alpacas, and you take them for a walk, and it's fully booked.
With the weather being so volatile as it is, commodity prices are volatile, some extra income wouldn't go amiss. So,
Absolutely.
I think it'd be a great...
I'll look that up. I hadn't seen it. That sounds fantastic. It'd be it'd be really interesting to see. Also, be nosy. See what other people are doing.
Absolutely, that's what I was thinking
see
as
what
well.
Other people are doing.
I know, absolutely. And we've got really, really good, and I must shout them out. We've got a Pick Your Own down the road from us, and fantastic. What is better than getting outside, knowing that your kids are going to have some sort of fruit that day as well? I mean, how many they eat before they get to the till is another story, but get your own, pick your own is fantastic.
Yeah, great. Everyone, and also the blackberries are early this year.
Oh wow!
So the kids are
blackberry
out.
and apple.
Yeah,
crumble.
unbelievable.
I literally had for breakfast the other day. This is actually criminal. I had clotted cream and ice cream on blackberry and apple crumble.
For breakfast?
For breakfast, yeah. Is that acceptable?
I mean, to be fair, you start your day at 3:30, so by that point it's lunch for me, isn't it? So.
I mean, it's good. It just reminds me of my granny.
I must admit, my dairy farmer hours for combining, we did 3 weeks of it. And
did you die?
Well, I tell you what, it is actually interesting. I noticed that the lunchtime lull hits hard, and then by
you can
4
see why
o'clock,
you need a nap.
4 o'clock, 4 o'clock the next afternoon. But 4 o'clock that afternoon, I'm snappy with the kids. Like I can feel my mental.
Time for
And then
a
once
can
you
of
get through
Coke.
the other side, I'm fine. But then also, I was also watching. We just got into Yellowstone, so watching Yellowstone with Annie, and we're like, it's 10:30. I should be in bed,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I wasn't in bed.
Because even if you're losing like an hour a
But
night, then
my old man has a siesta every day. Always has done. Every day he
My
goes
dad's
up
at that
to bed, has a siesta. But he's done it since he was 40, 50
Wow.
every day. So like
So it's
between
coming for you.
between 1 and 2, no one could contact him. So he had lunch at 1, very systematic lunch at 1, and then he'd have a half-hour nap between 1:30. Swears by it. Very European.
Do you think you're going to be taking that up now, Ali? You're getting close to that age.
I mean, rude from you. I am not quite that age just yet. But I'd think a nap would be good.
Yeah, I think so. I think with the summer holidays as they are, I mean, it is quite full on, isn't it? You're trying to do your day job as well as kids. So I think getting stuff done early, getting a bit of a break, and then getting back to it.
It is really hard because you can't staff for the holidays.
No. And I think people have moved their sort of carving block. You find some autumn carvers that actually don't carve till September because they want their quiet period. They've got kids. But then, that is a business, what's the financial cost of that for them?
And you mentioned it yesterday. My old man has always told me that the school holidays were based around the farming calendar.
Yeah.
I've Googled it and it tells me it wasn't. I thought the whole point was that they used to go home and do harvest and then go back to school in September.
Our production call, we thought, didn't we? We were talking about that.
Anyway, apparently it's not.
I think we've covered a lot there, Ali.
We have covered a lot.
Thank you, everyone, for listening. Please subscribe to the show. As Ali said, if you don't subscribe already, why not? Message us on socials and comment below if you're on YouTube. You can also find us on Spotify. Please sign up to the mailing list. The link is in the show notes. And a big thank you to our headline partner, Virgin Money. Also to our associate partners, Birketts and TELUS Agriculture Consumer Goods, as well as to DLF, who have sponsored this episode. Please subscribe and share. And we'll be back in 2 weeks, again in person on Ali's farm. And we'll see you then.
Thank you for listening to Meet the Farmers, The Big Debate. Our headline sponsor for this episode was Virgin Money, whose agricultural team has years of experience in supporting farmers up and down the UK. Meet the Farmers, The Big Debate is supported by UK top 50 law firm Birketts. Birketts expert lawyers can help you manage your estates, businesses and assets. From succession planning to environmental compliance, Birketts offer practical, tailored advice to your needs. Whether you're a landowner, farmer, or agribusiness specialist, the team can support you in achieving your goals and safeguarding your future. Find out more today at www.birketts.co.uk/ag.